I was asked to give an opinion on how I felt about the presentations at Black Hat. So Black Hat presentations um, are actually a little different from the presentations at conferences I've been to previously. Normally, people who are giving presentations actually have a proof of concept that they've tried out, or they've demonstrated and are willing to demonstrate some actual hack that's occurred. But I did want to talk about the two talks that I thought were the best of the conference, and most likely people will disagree, but I thought these were really well done. So the first talk was about using an FPGA that had been made on a custom board to do DMA attacks against the content of DIMMs that are in a system. This one's a little close to home because it's very similar to the product, or rather, the area of concern is very similar to the product that Skyport builds. These guys did a really good job with a hard problem. Actually, tapping DDR4 is a huge pain because of the speed of the signals, and they found a very clever way to reduce the clock that they had to deal with. That was Dan Lake and Anna Trikalanu presenting taking DMA attacks to the next level. My favorite talk, though, was the talk about the Mac OS X malware called Fruitfly. And that was presented by, I have to check, Patrick Wardle. And he did a really good job of doing a kind of malware analysis that was almost comic in its sort of, a lot of malware analysis relies on reversing or relies on code inspection or relies on other people having disassembled the code and sort of tried to reason out what it does or looking for clues of strings in the code and whatever. But if you're on the defender side, you spend a lot of time trying to figure out what a piece of software does without touching it. So you don't do any reversing. A lot of the time when people are doing malware analysis, professional malware, people who do malware breakdowns, often rely on tools like reversing and rely on code inspection or even just extracting strings or something along those lines. And the problem with that is if you're on the defensive side in live networks, in live areas, where you don't have the ability necessarily to get a copy of the malware in question, then what you're left with is essentially the network surface. And so what Patrick did with Fruitfly was that he actually stood up a fake CNC so that he could reverse engineer the command and control channel and figure out what the malware was doing by inducing it to do things, by sending it commands. And that's much more in line with what people who are true defenders have to do. So it was actually a really good talk. It was interesting to see someone talk like that. So those are my two picks for the best of Black Hat.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob.